There were once upon a time 3 beautiful princesses who lived in a kingdom far away. They had everything they could possibly wish for: loving parents, beautiful homes, loyal servants, and many suitors. But even though their lives seemed perfect, they weren't happy. The 3 sisters often fought with each other and couldn't even spend a single day together without arguing. It had gotten so bad that the king and queen had to build separate palaces for each of them. One day, the oldest princess was walking through the garden of her palace when she came across a small cottage. She walked up to it and knocked on the door. "Is anyone home?" she asked, but there was no reply. So she opened the door and walked inside. The cottage was very small, and the only furniture it had was a rocking chair in the corner. As the princess walked towards it, she heard a voice saying, "Well, well, what do we have here? A princess all alone in my house." The princess screamed and turned around, but she couldn't see anyone. "Who said that?" she asked, and the voice replied, "It's me. I'm the owner of this house. Now leave or I'll turn you into a frog." The princess was very scared, but she didn't want to leave without knowing who was in the rocking chair. She took a deep breath and slowly approached it. As she got closer, she could make out the shape of an old woman sitting in the chair. "Don't come any closer," the old woman croaked. "If you take another step towards me, I'll turn you into a frog." The princess froze in her tracks. She didn't want to become a frog, so she backed away from the rocking chair and ran out of the cottage. She ran as fast as she could until she reached the safety of her palace. She told her ladies in waiting what had happened, but they just laughed at her. "A witch in a rocking chair? That sounds like a fairy tale." The princess knew they didn't believe her, but she didn't care. She had escaped the witch's clutches, and that was all that mattered. But the next day, she was back in the garden, and she found the cottage again. This time, she wasn't alone. Her 2 younger sisters were with her. "I want to see that witch," she said. "She's probably just an old lady who likes to scare people." The 2 younger princesses were a bit scared, but they trusted their older sister, so they followed her to the cottage. This time, the witch didn't even try to hide. She stood up from the rocking chair and cackled, "So the 3 princesses have come to visit me. Very well. Tell me, what do you want?" The princesses looked at each other. "We want to know how you became a witch," the youngest princess finally said. The witch raised an eyebrow. "And why should I tell you that?" "Because we're curious," the middle princess said. The witch sighed. "Very well. I was once a beautiful princess myself, but I made the mistake of falling in love with a poor farmer. My parents didn't approve of him, so they locked me in this cottage and starved me for 10 days. I was so desperate for food that I made a deal with the devil. He promised to bring me a magic potion that would keep me alive, but in exchange, I had to give him my soul. I drank the potion and survived, but I also became a witch. If I had known that I would become a hideous monster, I never would have made that deal." The princesses were horrified. "Oh, I'm so sorry," the youngest said. "Would you like us to break the curse?" The witch shook her head. "There is no curse. This is just my true form. But if you want to help me, then break the chains that are holding me to this mortal plane." Each princess had a key, and when they put them all into the lock, the chains holding the witch broke. She smiled at them and disappeared. In her place stood a beautiful woman. "Thank you," she said to the princesses. I am your fairy godmother, and I will grant each of you a wish for helping me." The three princesses looked at each other. They had always argued about who was the most beautiful, but now they realized that true beauty came from within. "I want to be kind and compassionate," the oldest princess said. "I've been so selfish and self-centered, and I want to change. I want to be smart and witty," the middle princess said. "I've always been jealous of my sisters, and I want to be more like them. I want to be brave and adventurous," the youngest princess said. "I've always been afraid of everything, and I want to be able to explore the world." The fairy godmother waved her magic wand, and the three princesses were transformed. Their looks stayed the same, but their personalities were completely different. "Thank you," they said to their fairy godmother. "How can we ever repay you?" "By being the best versions of yourselves," their fairy godmother said. "Now go, my daughters. The world is yours to explore." Many years passed, and the three princesses traveled all over the world. They used their new personalities to help others and make a difference in the world. The oldest princess used her kindness to heal the sick and wounded. The middle princess used her intelligence to solve problems and fight injustice. And the youngest princess used her bravery to protect the weak and innocent. One day, they heard about a faraway kingdom that was in trouble. The king had been taken hostage by an evil wizard, and the people were afraid that he would never return. The three princesses knew they had to help, so they set out on a journey to rescue the king. When they arrived in the kingdom, they went straight to the wizard's castle. "We want to see the king," the oldest princess said to the guards. "I'm sorry, but you can't see him," one of the guards said. "The wizard has forbidden it." "Well, then we'll just have to find another way in," the youngest princess said. She took a deep breath and cast a spell that made the castle walls disappear. The three princesses walked in and saw the king tied up in a chair. "Don't worry, we're here to save you," the middle princess said. The wizard turned around and laughed. "You can't save him. I'm too powerful for you." The oldest princess stepped forward. "We may not be able to defeat you in battle, but we don't need to. You see, we're not just princesses, we're also witches." The wizard's eyes widened in surprise. "What?" The three princesses joined hands and cast a spell. "You may have defeated my sisters, but you will not defeat me," the oldest princess said. "I am vengeance." With that, the princesses attacked the wizard. They were too powerful for him to handle, and soon he was nothing but a pile of dust. The king was so grateful to the princesses for saving him that he made them each a grand duchess of his kingdom. They ruled over the land together for many years, bringing peace, prosperity, and magic to all their people. And that is why, whenever the wind blows through the trees, the people say that it is the three magical princesses passing by.